Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
Doing good.
Okay, that's good. Good to hear that. Okay, then, okay, thank you, Namrata, and thank you, Anthony, and everyone who just like try to just um, say hello to me. Today we are going to talk about like the next thing for lookup references function. Okay, so on yesterday, I just show the answer for exercise 1, 2, and 3 already. Okay, and then I also post more exercises for you. Okay, the answer will be shown on next class. I mean on this coming Wednesday. Okay, so just like start practice for the exercise that you may be able to do that. And on last week, some of you just like contact me to talk about like the exercise number 3 and ask about the H lookup function. Okay, that you have to use the closest match. Okay, in order to just like show the star in that exercise. So also I also post the example for you as well on our line group. So let me just like have a short review for that example once again for the um, H lookup with the closest match, okay, or approximate match. Okay, so on last class we talked about the exact match, okay, only. So that means, okay, how does H lookup work? So when H lookup works, suppose we say that okay, let's see the H physics score that we had on last class. You can see that for the H lookup function that we did, okay, in here you can see that, okay, we would like to find physics score of H. So there are a couple of things that you have to know when you have to use H lookup. Okay. The first one is lookup value, or in this one, I may call it as a key. Okay, I may call it as a key that we use in order to look up the value from other places from the pool of data. So in this one, you can see that for the lookup value that we have, in this one, you can see that we will use it. Okay, we will use it. That is here. Okay. That is the first thing that you need to have. It's the key. Second one, table array means a pool of data that you would like to just like get the data. This is a pool of data. So in this table array, we start from B3, okay, to G7, B3 to G7. So the thing that HLOOKUP will ask you is that what row index number or what row number in this table you would like to get the data from. So we have like this, because in this table we have 5 rows altogether. So when you have to refer to the row index number here, you have to use the row number, okay, in the relative table. So it means that we don't use row 3, row 4, 5, 6, so on like this. Okay. The things that you have to use is that we have to use the row number that we count. The first row of this data pool is row number 1. Okay. So when we have the thing like this, you can see that, okay, we want row 4. That means it will ask for the data from this row to be shown, okay, if it can be reached. So the next thing that HLOOKUP will do is that it will compare the value that you type in, or you just like refer to in this example is X. Just a little bit more, the range lookup in here is false. When it is false, it is exact match. That means the key, Okay, the key here must be matched with any name in this row. If it doesn't match, it shows the error immediately. Okay, now let's see how does this lookup work. Okay, it will compare. It will compare with the first row only. With the first row only. So that means if the first row is not the key, or is not matchable, or is not be able to look up by the key here. Okay, you have to make the first row as the value that you would like to search for. Okay, for example, if you said that, okay, you have something on the top, that's okay, but you don't just choose it as a part of the key. For example, if you say that, okay, you have the ID like this, ID A01, A02, A03, A04, and A05. Okay, if you say that, okay, you would like to find the physics score of S. Once again, ID, you cannot find S in the ID row for sure. So the things that we have to do is that we have to just like create the data pool from here instead. So right now you can see that name will be the first row instead. So that means even the table look like that, you also have the ID. Why do we have to include it? You don't have to do so. So you just include just the row that make sure that the first row is a name so that you can search for in this example. But if you say that you would like to search the physics score of a student whose ID is A05, something like that, then you may have to include the first row as the ID in this case. So in this case, you can see that when we just like find the physics score of S, okay, the thing that lookup will do is that it will just like search for the first cell of the first row that we have. Okay, let's figure out this one first. Okay, so what will it do? In this one, you can see that it just like compare C11, that is S, with the first cell of the first row, and it sees blank. When blank is not S, it moves on to the next cell, okay, in the same first row. It's and it's not S, then it moves on to Kara. Kara is not S. It does the same thing until this one. You can see that when S is compared with S, it's the same value. So what will lookup do next? It will count. This is row 1, row 2, row 3, and row 4. You can see that because we would like to get row number 4 data. So that's why this one, it just like retrieve the value 52% and display in the physics score cell that you want to have instead. So this is what how lookup for the exact match does. So you can see that when we have match the exact match here, that means the type is false. Okay, so that means if you don't have the value that is absolutely the same as the value that you refer to as the key in here, the exact match will return error instead. For example, if you want to find Edward, okay, Edward score, and Edward is not S, you can see that it shows NA, that means not applicable or not available. So it means that we don't have Edward score, okay, but we have just S. Now, in this case, you can see that we may use the closest match or approximate match to help. For the approximate match, in terms of score of a person, it is not okay because Edward is not S, okay? So if you just like type Edward and you search for his physics score here, you can see that it shows S score instead, or 52%. This one, okay, for the score of a person that you really want to have the exact value of exact person, do not use the closest match. So what in what case that in what case that we can use the exact match, closest match. In the case that we use closest match, like the example, like we have the BMI value, okay, that I had on last example that I just sent you. I sent you to line our line group in here. You can see that we know that actually for BMI, actually you may just like receive the information like this. You may say that okay, from BMI 0 to 18.4. Okay, the type is underweight. 18.5 to 24.9. It is normal weight. 25 to 29.9. That is overweight. And 30 and above, we get obese. So the thing that we have to do is that we have to change or convert this table, okay, the table in the red color here, to be understandable by the HLOOKUP function. What should we do? In this one, okay, you can't enter 0 to 18.4 directly in the table like this one. Somebody said that they put 0 to 18.4, 18.5 to 24.9, 25 to 29.9, and 30. And then you put the body type like this. This one is wrong. Okay, this one is wrong. Don't do this. Why? Why is that? Suppose we have a BMI or body mass index. Okay, for a specific value, for example, we have 18.3. Let's see. Okay. Suppose you say that okay, you want to know that this person who gets or who has a BMI as 18.3, what is his or her body type? You can see that if we look up, okay, let me just like do the real HLOOKUP and see what happens. I go to do the HLOOKUP. I look up this value with a table array here. Okay. Row index, I want to know the second row, that is body type. Okay. If I use exact match first. For exact match, for sure, okay, you don't see any 18.3 in this row, in the first row at all, So what does it mean? It means that when you just like compare 18.3 to this value, you don't get 18.3 as a part of this value at all, because in here 0-18.4, okay, for human being we recognize that 0 to 18.4 means between 0 to 18.4, but for the computer it doesn't know. And a little more thing that I want you to notice is that 18.3 here is the number. Now, do I know? When I type the value 18.3 and press enter, it's right aligned. Normally, the number in Excel, if we don't set anything, the format of the cell, it is right aligned for the number. But you can see that 0 to 18.4 or other values that you put in here, okay, they are text. Text. What does it mean by text? Text means uncalculatable value. So that means if you just like do something, like for example, you compare number to number, this text cannot be compared with a number. How do I know that it's the text? Because it's left aligned. You can see that because we haven't said anything about a format, so that's why this one is left aligned. So that's why when the text is compared to number, it's not comparable. That's why it shows not applicable here. So what else? Suppose I said that okay, I don't use exact match, but I'll use closest match instead. What will happen if I just change the type to be what to say, the closest match or approximate match? Okay, you can see that it still show us as not applicable or not available again. The reason is because you are comparing number 18.3 here with the text above. So that's why it doesn't work. And how can we solve this problem? You have to change, or you have to turn this text. Okay, you have to turn this text to be the, you have to turn this text to be the number instead. And the number, what do I mean by here? The number in here must be the range of values. Actually, in one cell, we can't put the range of value. The things that you have to do is that you have to specify the value like this instead. 0, 18.5, 25, and 30. So in here, how can we do? The things that I just like suggest you to do is that when you have the information like this, you may have to use number line to help instead. The first value, it is 0, 18.4 or 18.5, 20, 24.9 or 25, and then we have 30. And then you just specify as the same as we did in the E function for the nested if. 0 to 18.4, that means it excludes 18.5. Here, okay, this is group 1 or type 1. Now 18.5 to 29.9. Oh, sorry, 18.5 to 24.9. Here it excludes 25. This is type 2. Next, 25 to 29.9. Okay, that means we exclude 30. This is type 3. And last one, 30 and above, is type 4. So when we have this one already, we just turn this range to be min and max. Okay. So that means in this one, I just like put min to be 0. The next one, type 2, min to be 18.5. Next one, min to be 25. And last one is 30. And after that, I just like put the max row here. So in here, can we find the BNI without having the line of the max? Yes. But the reason why I put the max row in here is that, okay, when other people, I mean, when the human would like to see, we understand that, oh, the min is 0, while the max is anything that is less than 18.5. Okay. So that means in row 22 of mine here, okay, we can have or we don't have it, doesn't matter. Because when we use lookup, it just look for the row that has the value that is comparable to the key. Okay, I will just like use this table. I will just use this. I just use the row that with the min. Okay. So when we have this one, okay, the thing that we have to do is that we will just like find out. We will find out the we will find out the lookup value in here. Okay, let me just like clear out this one first. Let's find the BMI first. In order to find the BMI, actually, the BMI, okay, is from weight in kilograms divided by height times height. So that means in here you have to know the person's the weight and height. in meters. So in here, suppose we said that that person height is 1.6 meter. The width and back, this one belong. Okay, this is the weight and height. So the BMI can be calculated by this one, weight divided by height square. Okay. So that means in this one, okay, we find the body type by just like using the H lookup in here. Okay. We go to fx and then type H lookup.
Ajahn Krap,
Yes, Kap.
how did you calculate the BMI again? The internet to see it.
Okay, here. It's weight by square.
Oh, I see. I see.
Here, okay, when we have to just like use the closest match, okay, for the H lookup, okay, the things that we have to do is that we have to specify the first row of the data pool that we would like to use. So in here, you can see that I want the min to be my first row in here. So I just put this one as the pool of data. Okay. So when I have this already, okay, the thing that or the way that HLOOKUP function does is that the HLOOKUP function, the things that happen to HLOOKUP is that it does like this. Firstly, it will just like compare the value of the BMI that we have in here, 16.7 here with this row, okay, because our HLOOKUP use this row as a data, as a lookup value. So it compares 16.7 with the word min. So value, as I told you earlier, number and text cannot be comparable. Just like go to the next cell in the same row. So when it just like check for the next cell, it compares 16 with 0, 16.7 with 0. You can see that 16.7 and 0. 16.7 is more than 0. Then you just go to the next row, next cell, sorry, the next cell. Now it compares 16.7 with 18.5. And you can see that 18.5 with 16.7. 16.7 is not 18.5. So it just like go to the next row. And let's see, this step is important. When it compares with 18.5 already and it does not match, it goes to the next cell. That is 25. You can see 16.7 is comparing to 25. And we find that 16.7 is less than 25. So what will it do? When 16.7 is less than 25, okay, HLOOKUP jump back to this position. Now it jumps back to the previous cell and then reported the row that you mentioned in your formula. The row that you mentioned in the formula said that you would like to get the data from row 3. So it shows row 1, row 2, and row 3. That is normal weight like this. Oh, but actually, I'm sorry. This is 16.7, right? Okay, let me just like redo it for you once again. The things that will be done in here is that, firstly, 16.7 will be compared with the word min. Okay, it's not comparable because it's the text. Then it just go to the next cell, that is 0. 16.7 again 0. Okay, 16.7 is over 0. Then it just go to the next cell, that is 18.5. 16.7 and 18.5. 16.7 is less than 18.5. So lookup will jump back to one cell. Will jump back to one cell, that is here. And then go to row number 3 that you specify in the lookup function 1 to row 1, row 2, and row 3. And you can see that it's underweight. So that's why in here it shows underweight for us. Now, let me just give you another example. Suppose right now this person weight is 80, but the height is 1.6 meter or 160 centimeters. So BMI is 31.25. You can see that in here. The BMI 31.25 here, if you have a look, it is obese for sure. So let's see how does BMI work. So when 31.5 is compared to the word min, it's not comparable because min is a text. Then it just skip to the next cell. Then 31.5 will be compared with 0. 31.25 is greater than 0. Then it goes to the next cell, that is 18.5. 31.25 is greater than 18.5. Then it jumps to the next cell for comparing. We found that 31.25 is compared with 25. 31.25 is still greater than 25. Then it jumps to the next cell, that is 30. 31.25 compared with 30, you can see that 31.25 is still greater than 30. It tries to jump to the next cell, but the problem is that it just like reached the border of your reference table or the data pool already. It's ended here. So it doesn't have any other cell to go next. That's why it stopped here. It stopped here and show the text obese for you. Okay, this is the way that lookup can do. Okay, lookup can do. So row index number in here,นะครับ Manit. So you can see that because I just choose this one as a table, as my table only. So row index number to show, I want to show the text with the body type. So row index number is row 3. It is row number 3. Okay, row 3. So what else that I want you to see in here? You can see that if you see the table like this, okay, how can we judge? How can we judge that which part of the table should be our table array? You can see that the first thing, okay, lookup will check or will compare the value against the first row of the table only. So that means here we want to compare BMI, right? That is 31.25. So type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4 shouldn't be a part of the table. Then I just like exclude this row out. You can see that in my example of this function, the BMI here, I use table array as this table, G21 to G22. That is this table only. So that's why I don't include row 20 here. The next one, okay, the next one. You can see that firstly, when I compare 31.25 in here, 31.25 will be compared to the word min. You can see that when we compare with the word min in here, actually the word min, the word max, the word body type, we don't use it anyway. So instead of starting the first row and the first column of the table array in cell C20 when I don't need to do so, I may just use the yellow box only as my table array because my real data start from 0. And when I want to compare, I compare 31.25 versus value 0 first. So in here, instead of having the table array from C21, I may start from D21 instead, and it returns us the same value. So now let me just like change the table array. So in here from C21, I said no, I want to start from D21. Let's see the output. So right now, you can see that my table is smaller. It's just in the red, in the red frame or in the yellow color only. So in here, D21 to D23, yeah, and then I press enter. It still show obese because you can see that these values I don't compare and I don't use anything. This value type I don't want to use it. So my real table is here. Right. Okay. Right. This is HLOOKUP function. Right. So this is HLOOKUP function that we need to use, and also it will be useful for the example that we have and the exercise that we have as well. Okay, and also it will be in your midterm examination too. Right. Okay. Right. So after we talk about the HLOOKUP already, another function that is lookup reference function as well is what we call the VLOOKUP function. The VLOOKUP function. The VLOOKUP function is a function that we use in order to search for the data as well. But the difference between HLOOKUP and VLOOKUP is that for the HLOOKUP, the data, okay, that we would like to have is on the first row. It will be compare the value with the first row, right? This is HLOOKUP. While VLOOKUP is different. For VLOOKUP, okay, if you have like the table of data, the orientation of data, okay, for one record of data must be spanned in the same row. Okay. For example, suppose I say that I have student ID, I have midterm score, final score, presentation score, and extra credit score. So if I say that I want to know the score, I want to know midterm score of student ID 6180111. So the things that I have to do is that I have to go to check with the student ID on the first row first. If it doesn't match, I go to the next row, next row, and so on until I get like the specific student ID, and then I find the midterm score of that person. So you can see that it's different. It's different from the HLOOKUP because HLOOKUP everything span, okay, horizontally. Okay, the key span horizontally. But in this one, in this example, the key span vertically. That's why we call it as VLOOKUP. Okay, all right. So now, okay, let me just like show you the example of the VLOOKUP so that it will be easy for you to understand. Okay. So the VLOOKUP also have the exact match and closest match as well as HLOOKUP. Okay. So let's see the example that we have. Suppose we have the products like this. Okay, I just type this. Right in here. Assume that we have the product and its price like this. We are going to use the VLOOKUP in order to just like what to say, search for the price of the product. So okay, let's talk about like the product that we would like to find. So suppose we would like to find the cost of toothpaste. The cost of toothpaste. Okay, let me just like change this position a bit. So you can see that okay, if you have the table like this, you have to consider okay what functions that we have to use in order to search for the cost. You can see that in here. Okay. They ask you to find out the cost of a product. Okay. And the product span in the same column here. It span vertically. Okay, so that means if you would like to search for a product here, the things that you have to do is that you have to just like go to search one by one. Okay, for example, you start from cornflake. If cornflake cannot be found, you should find shortcake, biscuit, and so on until you get the row of the product that you want to have, and then you just locate its cost. So this one for sure you can't use HLOOKUP because HLOOKUP the data must be the key or the lookup value must be spanned in the same row. But this one is spanned in the same column, so HLOOKUP cannot use. In here we have to use VLOOKUP or vertical lookup instead. So how can we find it? Okay, let's see the VLOOKUP function together. Okay, for the VLOOKUP function, okay, so everyone you just like click on FX and then you type VLOOKUP. See the description first before we go to the VLOOKUP functions in detail. The VLOOKUP looks for a value in the leftmost column. You can see that if we have a look on this table, okay, it seems like our item description is on the leftmost column. Okay, it's on the leftmost column. Okay, and then of a table, and then return a value in the same row from a column you specify. For example, in here, if you find the toothpaste, you can find the cost in here, okay, that you want to have, okay, in another column, but the same row as the toothpaste. By default, the table must be sorted in ascending order. Okay, so what does it mean by ascending order sorting? So in this one, okay, let's talk about the ascending sort and descending sort a bit. In this one, you can see that for sorting here, okay, the thing that we have is that, okay, when you would like to know about the sorts in here, you can see that we talk about like these values. Okay, they say that the values in the first row, first column, or in the key or the lookup value must be sorted. So in order to sort, okay, you have to make sure that, okay, you don't sort just this column, okay. The price or the cost of each product must be also sorted together while you sort the description. So the things that I just like recommend you to do is that you may highlight the whole row like this before you sort. In this case, okay, if you would like to sort, you just go to data, okay, and then you see sort, right? For sorting, we have two different kind of sorts. The first one, we call it as ascending sort. We call it as ascending sort. Ascending sort is sorting from smallest value, okay, to the highest value, So in here, it means that for the ascending sort, it means that we sort from 0, 1, 2 to 9. Okay, this is ascending sort. While the text, if we sort, is from A, B, C to Z. Okay, this is what we call ascending sort. We sort from smallest to the biggest value. What about the date and time? If we sort ascendingly, or we have ascending sort of the date, it is from older date to newer date. Older date will be first, okay, for ascending sort. The other way for sorting, we call it as descending sort. Descending sort will be done opposite way around. Value will be sorted from 9, 8 back to 0. For the text, it will be sorted from Z, Y, X back to A. Okay. And the date is from newer to older. So that's why in here, okay, they ask you to sort ascendingly, means that you have to sort from from the text. It's from A to Z. So how to sort? After you specify the area to sort already, in this one, I suggest you to just like choose the whole row for make sure that everything is sorted together. Okay, we go to data tab and then go to sort. Then you just see the sorting windows pop up. It asks you that what to sort. Right now, you say that you want to sort by the item description, right? So because in this one, we just choose the data only. We don't choose the headers. Okay, I don't choose item description and cost, okay, in row 32 in here. So I start sorting column B. I said that I want to sort column B here. Sometimes if you want to sort and it shows this kind of thing for you, it ticks my data has header. Be careful that this one, if we exclude header, you don't tick it. Otherwise, it will exclude context from sorting. I mean, the first row from sorting here. So I don't sort. I don't have the headers in here. I want to sort column B. Sort by values. Yeah. Order A to Z or ascending. Okay. Then I click OK. So it will be sorted for you. Now let's try descending sort. I also choose the same set of data. I choose sort and then choose column B. Sort on values, I choose set back to A. You can see that in here it is sorted backwards, okay, descendingly, or the W come before like T and before C, something like that. Okay, I sort it back once again to be ascending sort. Click OK. So in here, what if we include the header, how it looks like? Now I include row 32, that is my heading of this table too. Then I choose sort. I sort by column B. But right now, if I don't tick my data has header, your header will be just mixed up with the values that you want to sort, right? Then I undo first. I sort it once again. When I click sort, I tick my data has header so that it will exclude my real header out. I sort ascendingly again. Yeah, so everything is sorted already. Somebody sorted like this, they may choose just the data, okay, the part of the data to be sorted only. So this one in this class, I don't recommend. Why is that? The reason is because if you choose just a part of the table and you chose wrongly, for example, you just choose this, column B only, and then you sort it, okay? And then if you just choose continue with the current sort, you can see that in here, the problem that may arise is that the item description is sorted already, but the cost is not sorted. So be careful about this. So that's why if you highlight all of them, okay, you never forget about it. Okay, so and everything will be sorted at the same time. Okay. Right now, it's sorted already. What's the next thing? For the VLOOKUP function, okay, when we sort already, we have to use the argument, okay, same as we had on HLOOKUP. So let's go to VLOOKUP function. We need to have lookup value or the key that we want to have, and then we specify table array. Make sure that the lookup value can be matched with the first value, with the first column of your table array. Okay. So in this case, you want to match the item. The item must be able to find, or is it possible to find in this column? The first column must be a table. So that means this is your table. Okay. And then column index num. Column index num means that for the output, where would you like the output to get to be from? In here, we want the output from cost column. That is column number 2 in this example. So in this example, we have 2 columns of your table array. And after that, range lookup once again. True is closest match. False is exact match. Okay, now let's do it together. Lookup value here, I want to look up this value, the toothpaste here. Table array, I specify from B32 to C39. I want column 2. And the range lookup is false. I want the exact match. So in here, if I click OK, you can see that it shows $4.10. I just set up the format cells a bit. Here. So you can see that for the HLOOKUP function, it's the same as VLOOKUP in that if you would like to just like specify the table array just for the data only. For example, you want to exclude the heading. You can do it without any problem. So it seems that if we just say that, okay, I will exclude heading row, how much it will be. So in this one, I will exclude the yellow row in here, okay? But other thing is the same. I said that for this VLOOKUP value is toothpaste. Table array, I start from conflict to 0.8. Okay, that is for my one is B33 to C39. I exclude the heading here. Okay. I still want to know the cost. Cost is in column number 2. And range lookup is false. So you can see that the intermediate result is still showing 4.1. It's the same as the previous VLOOKUP that I did, because as I told you earlier, HLOOKUP and VLOOKUP, okay, it doesn't know what item description means. Okay, but for us, for human beings, we want to know the heading. For example, if I hide this one, you may not know what does it mean by cornflakes or 3.5 mean, something like that. So that's why we just like put the word item description and cost for human beings. But Excel, it doesn't need to know. It just compares real data in the table array like that, and it's enough. Okay. So this is exact match for VLOOKUP. Okay. Up to this point, do you have any questions? Okay, if you don't have any questions, I have another example for you for the closest match. But in this example, I want you to do it by yourself, okay, before I give you the answer.
Ajahn,
Yes, ครับ
are we going to, could we look over exercise 3 from the assignments?
Yes. But for, I mean, like for the exercise, can you please discuss with me outside the class, because I still have like lots of content to teach.
Okay.
Okay. So in this one, suppose we would like to find out the score, the grade of Joey. Okay, we know that Joey has 33 points. Okay. Suppose I put in here. I want you to use VLOOKUP to search for Joey's score. Okay, here, Joey's grade. So you can see that if we have a look, you can see that Joey should get grade B grade, right? B grade. But how can you have we look up to do it? This one I give you 7 minutes to complete this task. 7 minutes to complete this task. So that means around 9:13. Okay, I'll call you. Okay, so please do it by yourself now. Okay, do it by yourself. Find out the score of Joey, the grade of Joey by using VLOOKUP. Do it by yourself first. Okay ครับ so in in this example, okay, you can see that when we consider to find the grade, okay, when we consider to find the grade here, the things that we have to do is that we have to use the total score to compare. But the problem is that the score range that we specify in here is not the usable score range for VLOOKUP, because you can see that if you would like to compare a total score with the score, it must be the number as well. But right now the score range here is the text. It's not comparable directly. So the things that we have to do is that we have to set up the number line to put the real score range. Okay. So you can see that in here. Okay. One good thing is that because in the score range that I specify here, it tells us exactly for the lowest score and the highest score of each grade already. So in this one, you can see that if I put, okay, let me just like move this table a bit to the right hand side. If I put minimum, okay, the minimum score of that grade and maximum score of that grade, okay, 0 to 59, 60 to 64, 65 to 69, 70 to 74, 75 to 79, 80 to 84, 85 to 89, 90 to 100. Actually, the thing that is usable is here. If I say that I want to compare minimum, okay, with the total score, this one would work now, because you can see that if I just like let's see, do the VLOOKUP, I say that okay, the first column, okay, is the value that will be compared with the score in here. Yeah, and if it's match, it's just like report the grade for me. But if it doesn't match, okay, we may have to find another possible values or another possible grade. Okay, so in here, okay, let's see, suppose we use this table, the table that I just like create two more columns in here. Okay, so the things is that, okay, I will use the grade in here. Okay, the cell in here to find the grade of Joey. I know that, okay, I have to use it, VLOOKUP, because the data or the searchable key is located in the same column, okay, or located vertically. So that's why we have to use VLOOKUP. Then we go to VLOOKUP. Lookup value, we look up 83 in here. Okay. Table array, I choose from my minimum 0 to the last one, that is the highest grade, that is A. Okay. Column index. Column index means my output come from what column. So I start minimum column as the first column. Then my grade is on the first, second, third, and fourth in the fourth column, column number 4. Range lookup in here, you can see that 83 for sure, it doesn't match with the minimum grade of any values. Then they have to use closest match, that is true. Okay. So when I just do it, you can see that in here it returns B. Okay. Now just see by your eyes only. You can see that 83 here, if you have a look, 80 to 84, it should be B. Yeah. So how does B work? How do we get B in here? So in here, the things that VLOOKUP will do in here is that it just like match 83 with the first column. Okay. So you can see that firstly, the table here must be sorted, okay, ascendingly. So it's sorted already because this is the range of the score and it's already sorted. Okay. Next, when VLOOKUP works, okay, it will start from the first cell, okay, of the table first, okay, in the first column. 83 compare with 0. 83 is greater than 0, then it just move on to the next cell, that is 60. It compare with 60. 83 is greater than 60. Then it move on to the next cell, that is 65. 83 is still greater than 65. Move on to 70. 83 is still greater than 70. It move on to 75. 83 is still greater than 75. It move on to 80. 83 is still greater than 80. Then it move on to the next cell, that is 85. Now, 83 compare with 85. 83 is less than 85, then it stops. VLOOKUP will stop and go back to the previous cell. In this example, it goes to the row of 80 and report this value B. Okay, it does actually the same with HLOOKUP. If it's over that value already, it just like move back to the previous row or the previous column in this case. Okay, and then just like stop it and then report the value of that cell. So this is the way that we do with the VLOOKUP with the closest match or approximate match. Okay, so another tricks that you may have to be careful about this is that if you get some values, especially for the value that is between the borderline. For example, if I say that, okay, I have another student named Jane, and Jane receive what to say 59.5. What grade should Jane earn? I give her 59.7. Yeah, 59.7. What grade should Jane earn? In here, if you have a look, everyone will think that for sure, for us, we round the score. So Jane will get the off, okay? Because in here, we don't just like think that, oh, because she got 59, then she got F. No. We just like see the decimal points. If it's beyond 0.5, we just like round up. Then Jane should get D in this case. Now let's see. If we use VLOOKUP to do, what will be the grade of Jane? In here, we do the same thing as we did with Joey's grade. We go to VLOOKUP, and then we just look up Jane's score. Okay, table array is the same. Okay, before they add to E55 on my screen. Column index, I want the grade column, that is column 1, 2, 3, 4. Column number 4. Range lookup is true as well. So I do absolutely the same thing as I did with Joey. So you can see that the intermediate result here show as F. This is not what we want. We want the dog, not F in this case. So let's see how does VLOOKUP work in this case. So in this one, okay, let me hide Joey's line first. Okay, we just do it only just for Jane. So you can see that in here for Jane's score, 59.7 will be compared with 0. You can see that 59.7 is over 0. Then it just move on to the next row. Compare with 60. 59.7 is less than 60, right? So that's why it just like move back to previous row and then report as F and then stop. It doesn't round anything. So in this case, if you know that it is a number and you want to compare the number with the exact match, and these numbers have decimal points like this one, the things that you have to do before you just like use the VLOOKUP or even HLOOKUP is the same. You have to round it first. You have to round it before you do the lookup. So in this case, how can you do it? If you would like to round, okay, we have the round function, okay, that we have to use. The function round is equals to round, followed by the number, followed by the decimal point. If you can't remember, you just like go to the round function. You just click FX and then you type round. Okay, just use round function here. For the round function, we just use this number 59.7 as a number that you want to round. Number of digits is 0. So you can see that intermediate result shows 60, right? And when you do VLOOKUP, we do the VLOOKUP of with 60, not 59.7. Okay. So in this one, I said that instead of VLOOKUP of 59.7, I do the lookup value with 60 instead. And you can see that right now it shows D here. Okay, this is what we want. Okay, so in here, okay, I got a question. Okay, that okay, can we put min and max column after grade column? If you do like this, I think this is what she means. This one, you cannot do it. The reason is because it just breaks the rules of VLOOKUP. If you remember, VLOOKUP said that, okay, if you want to go for VLOOKUP, look for a value in the leftmost column. And right now, minimum is not the leftmost column anymore. So that's why we can't put minimum score on the right column from the grade. Okay, we can't do it. So the minimum column or the column that we would like to compare with the value here must be on the left-hand side or on the leftmost. Somebody does like this. They say that, oh, I want to have minimum maximum here, but VLOOKUP doesn't work. Then they may copy minimum to be here as well. Okay, so that it can show the grade because we have the leftmost column that is minimum. Okay, this is what we may do. Right. Okay, this is the VLOOKUP function. Okay, this is VLOOKUP function. So up to this point, do you have any other questions for the VLOOKUP? Okay,นะครับ. If you don't have the question in the VLOOKUP function, the next function in this group, that is the last function of this group, is the function index. Okay. For the index function, is a function that we handpick the values that we want to have, okay, or that we want to just like search for. Let me give you the example of the index first. Okay. Suppose we have the value like this. Okay, we have the value here. And we want to pick number 7. Okay. So how can we get this value? Okay. What is the function index used for? Normally, the function index, we normally use it when we have some template on Excel. For example, if you have like a worksheet that you make it as invoice or the sales order, when the customer types something on a specific cell, you just pick that cell and then calculate something on another sheet, something like that. So we can use the index function to help. So in this case, what do we have to know about the index function? Okay. In this case, suppose I say that, okay, suppose I want to pick the value from the fourth row, not fifth row. So in here, it just pick number 7 for us. Okay. Okay, now let's see. For the index function, okay, just click Fx and type index. Index dot dot dot. What does it mean? Okay, in here, let me explain to you first. If we see dot 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 for any function, that means that function has more than one possible list of arguments. That means index can be used in various ways. In this case, index function returns the value or reference of the cell at the intersection of particular row and column in a given range. So that means when we have to find out some data from the index function, you must know the row number and column number first. And then you just like specify row number, column number that you want to get the data from. In this example, when we talk about the table, okay, or the given range of data here, this data, okay, store as a table. It's a table of fifth row by one column. Fifth row by one column. Okay, this is the table that we have. Okay, then I just like enter the data here first. So in this one, when you say that this is a table of five rows by one column, you need to know that which cell you would like to get the data from. In here, suppose you want to get the data from this specific cell. You have to know that where is this cell located in your reference table. In this reference table, okay, this cell is located in the row number 5 of this table. Okay, don't say that, okay, it's row 73. No, we are talking about the reference table here only. That is table 5 by 1. Okay, 5 rows by 1 column. So in here, when we want to get the number 7 in here, we just go to index function. And after that, we click OK. You can see that in here, it shows 2 possible argument lists. Okay. You can see that the first one, array, comma, row num, comma, column num. So what does it mean? Array means table, location, or reference table. You have to specify this table as the array. Row num means that what row number? In here, we want row number 4. Row 4. Column number 5. Column is 1 column because we have just 1 column only. Okay. Right. While the other example, the other list of arguments, we need to have a special one that is area num that we talk about it later. Okay, now just talk about the first pattern of the argument list. We want to find the data from this table, row number 4, column number 1. What should we do? Firstly, we click the first list of arguments and click OK. Then specify array means specify where is the table. It's here. B70 to B74. That is on my screen. I want the data from row 4 of this table, and I have just one column only, then I put 1. So you can see that the intermediate result is showing 7. So this one, you can see that it shows number 7 for us. If you say that you want to get number 5 in here, you want to get value 5 in here, so you do the same thing. You just go to index function, choose the first list of arguments, specify the array first, and you can see that 5 is located in row number 2. Then you just put 2 in the first column because we have this column 1 only. Yeah, so it shows 5 for us here. So this is the example of the index function. Okay, when we have to use just like the data from a specific table. So okay, let's move on the next example. Suppose I just have the data like this. You can copy the previous table from example number 1 here. Okay, and then add another column here. So right now, in this example, suppose I say that I want to pick the value from the 5th row and the first column of the table in here. Okay, you do it by yourself first. I give you 1 minute to do the to find the index value. I want you to get number 8 in here by using index function. Okay, in 1 minute before I show you the answer. Okay, in this one, just consider this one first. We want to pick the data from 5th row, first column of this table. Okay, so we expect to get value 8 as our answer here. So in this one, I just use index function, use the first argument list, okay, because I have just one table only. So I say that I want to find from this array, okay, B77 to C81, row number 5, column number 1. So I get 8 as the answer from here. This is the example of the index function with the first set of arguments. First set of arguments is used when you have just one table that you want to find only. But in the reality, we may have like many tables to be used at the same time. So in this one, okay, let's copy the first table from the previous example to be used in here. And then we may have like another table. And we also have the third table. So in this example, we have 3 different tables altogether. Okay. If you are asked to find the data, if you are asked to find the data, so find you are asked to find the value from table number 2, okay, row number 2, and column number 2. That is this one. Okay, we want to get value 7 here. Okay, while we have 3 tables altogether. In the reality, each table may just like store different data. For example, table 1 store the cost of the product. Table 2 may store like the delivery cost of each product. Table 3 might show the tax for each product, something like that. You can process 3 tables at the same time by using index function. But whenever we have many tables here, the way that you have to use for the index function is that you have to use index function with the second group of arguments. Okay, so what is it? When you go to index function, the second list of arguments, you have reference, comma row num, comma column num, column area num. Reference, what does it mean by reference? Reference means all table that you have. For example, in here, reference means this plus this plus this, or table 1 plus table 2 plus table 3. Okay, and then row num, column num, and area num. You have to know that. Start from area num first. What is area num? Area num means that, okay, for separated table, what table would you like to get the data from? So in this example, it's the second area of yours that you specify in the reference. This is table number 2 or area number 2. And row num, column num means that in table number 2, okay, what row number would you like to get the data from, and what is that column number? So this is row number 2, column number 2. Okay. So in this one, okay, in order to get number 7 here, we specify like this. So we choose the second argument, second list of arguments, choose reference for the argument when we have the reference to be specified. Then you just specify reference. Firstly, you just drag the first area. After that, you just go to the second area. You just go to the first area first, put comma, put the second area, comma, put the third area. Okay, now we have like 3 areas already. Okay, let me just like check this. You have to use semicolon. Hang on, let me just check. Semicolon. Semicolon. Okay. Hang on. In this one, okay, we just go to index and then we specify the second one. And then we just specify row number 2 of column number 2, area number 2. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, Let me just check. I think there's something wrong with this one. Column number 2. Reference. It's wrong just a little bit. Let me just check. Okay. So you can see that when we have to specify the array, okay, when we have to specify the array, that means in many tables, the things that we need to use is here. Okay, let me just like do it again. Firstly, you specify the reference in each table first. And the symbol that you have to use is that when you want to separate in different table, you use comma, right? But special thing is that you need to have a pair of parentheses to separate as well. So be careful that in this one. So that's why the first one of mine was wrong. You have to put area, the range of the first table, second table, and third table, and then close with the parentheses like this. Row number 2, column number 2, and area number 2. Okay. This one, okay, you get the intermediate result that show as number 7. So this is a trick a bit that when you have to just like calculate, or whenever you have to specify the what to say, the array or like multiple tables, you have to separate them by using comma. And also you need to have the parentheses to break them. Okay. Right. Okay. So everyone, do you get number 7 as your answer? If you don't get, let me just show you once again. In this one, you can see that we have the parentheses. And we also have the comma to separate. Okay. Right. Okay, then this is the example for the index function. For the index function. Okay. Right. Up to this point, do you have any questions for the index function? We will use index function more when we just like create the form in Microsoft Excel that I'll just like teach you in the next week. Okay. Right, because right now this week we still have like some other functions to learn first. Okay, so before we finish the class today, okay, there are a couple of things to tell you. The first one, don't forget that our midterm exam will be on Sunday, the 25th of October, okay, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Okay, actually it's 7:50 p.m. So you must have the camera to be on all the time when you have the midterm exam. So that means if your camera is broken now, please try to have a spare one in order to just like be ready for the midterm exam. You have to turn on, as I told you, you have to turn on camera all the time. Next thing that you have to know is that for midterm examination, everyone has to use the e-learning account of yours. Do not borrow from your friends. You have to use your own account. Because when we mark the score, we mark by using your user ID. If you use other people's account to log in and submit your work, it will be just like marked or scored wrongly. Okay. So the way to submit and the way in order to receive, to see the question and submit the question is the same way as we see on when we do the exercise, the same thing. I just like post it as the similar to the assignment or exercise, and after that you download those files and then do it, and then you just like submit it back into the e-learning. Okay. Apart from that one, we need to have a makeup class because we had the class cancellation on last Monday. I put the poll to ask you, sorry, I just like put the Google form to ask you already in our line group. Please go to show me the time that you have class, so that I'll just like check the time that all of us are available, and then I'll just let you know when will be our makeup class time, and then I'll discuss with you on Line Messenger. So apart from that one, I'll just like post a video if you can't just like join our makeup class. So for the line group ID, I'll just like give it to you later. Anthony, just like be with me after the class finish. What else do I have to let you know? Don't forget that after midterm exam, there are two things that you have to do. The first one, I'll let you set up the group. Okay, so I can tell you now, we are going to have the team project, okay, for the last week of this term. So please sign up for up to 5 people for each team. The things that I'll let each team to do is that I'll assign you to prepare the business scenario, and then use the functions that you learn in Microsoft Excel to just show the business performance, and then just like present it. Because I just like want to show you, I want you to use the functions that we learned to show in your presentation. For the spec of the presentation, I'll just like talk about it later on. But now I just like want you to just like look around and see some of your friends or classmates and set up the group for the term project for up to 5 people. And then on next week, I'll let you book, or sorry, I would let you register for the team. That is the things that we have to do after midterm exam. Secondly, after midterm exam, I told you already that we need to have the Microsoft Power BI software. This software you can download for free, but the problem is that you have to use Microsoft Windows computer only. So I told you at the very beginning of the class, if you just like don't have computer with Microsoft Windows PC right now, if you use Mac, you may have to install another software that makes your Mac to be able to run Windows, so that you can install the Power BI software. Otherwise, you may have to borrow other people's PC or laptop, because without Microsoft Windows computer, you can't practice and you can't do the Power BI programs for sure. For some of you who just like say that you can't borrow from other people, you may have to go to use our computer lab on the campus to do it. Because all the computer labs have the Power BI, and also they are all run with Microsoft Windows PC. Okay, so before we finish the class, up to this point, do you have any questions? Anthony, yes, you may be able to use MacBook for midterm, but after that, I don't think so. But for a MacBook, if you use it for the midterm, you have to find the functions by yourself. Where is it located? So that means when you just like when I just give you the lectures, and if you have you have to find out, like normally the function should be in the same location, okay, as Windows ones. But sometimes they just like put or group them in different menus. That should be okay. But some functions for Microsoft Office 365, I'm not sure. Some functions may not work. You have to check before. Okay. Right. Any other questions so far? So if you don't have any questions, okay, everyone please turn on your camera so that I can capture the screen. Anthony, you just be with me first so that I can just give you the line group. Okay, just won't be long. Popanit, please turn on your camera. Popanit. Just give me a minute. Okay. Okay, then everyone. Okay, thanks for being with me. Okay, you have a nice day, and we see each other again on this coming Wednesday.นะครับ Don't forget to just like go to our line group and then just go to Google Form to just like reply what I asked you. Okay, อภิชยาครับ so today is okay but on midterm exam day you must have a camera นะครับ otherwise they will not mark the score we can't mark the score for you just speak it okay then everyone you have a nice day นะครับ and we see each other again on this coming Wednesday okay bye bye for now take care and stay safe